All right, guys, boom, bam, top of the morning. Happy August 6th. Coming to you alive, coming to you well, coming to you full of gratitude. If this is your first time at Keep It Moving Group Coaching, this group represents the power of collective wisdom at the highest level. On the most conscious level, we understand collective wisdom. We have all grown, we have shared, we have got vulnerable, we have shared high level strategies on how to build business, but we've also opened up our hearts and opened up our minds. And that's why this group continues to grow. And that's why it is what it is. We have a mantra here. It is keep it moving towards our dreams, goals, and vision. And I hold that with the utmost care and consideration because you guys are spending your time here with us. And I will never, ever take that lightly. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being students. And thank you for being open to receive. I'll tell you what, you guys, I could not be more grateful for these opportunities to serve you at the highest level. Now, in true keep it moving fashion, Brian, you're new to our environment, but you're not new to you and I have a relationship that goes back years and years. But I always have somebody bring us out on the field. And this person kind of sets the tone. That's our tunnel talk before we enter the field on game day. And so I never planned it ahead of time. But I just told her 2 minutes ago that it's going to be her. So Evangeline, I'm going to have you share set the tone, share your sentiment, and tell the people if they're guests on the line today, what this room has represented, what it means to you. So Evangeline, without further ado, I'm going to have you bring us out on the field on this beautiful, amazing Wednesday. Let's roll, big dog.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What this means to me, this is more than just accountability. It's definitely my community here. I serve the Bay Area, but my husband's stationed down here in Monterey. So I'm 2 hours away and serving all my clients up that way and have a 7-month-old baby. So it's really nice to have a community and just brotherhood, sisterhood, all of that good stuff. In terms of my sentiment for today, I've shared with the group, I've been going through postpartum depression. That's real. And I'll be transparent and vulnerable about it. And it's hard sometimes because at the same time, it's like, I also want to have a successful business. Like I'm hungry. I've always been in sales. Like I hate, Elias shared yesterday too. It's like, I love to win and I hate to lose. Right. So I'm motivated every day. And so when you're going through the trenches, you need to kind of dial back and look at what's my center of gravity, what are some pillars for me. And so I started to go back to my reading. I love stoicism, and I was reflecting on the 4 stoic virtues, which is courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance being like discipline, right? And I realized that not only guides life. I mean, look, these ancient philosophers used it for life, but it also can guide our business, right? Wisdom, are we actually knowledgeable in the market to help our consumers? Discipline, are we really getting up and doing the things that we say we're going to do? Justice, are we being fair to our consumers? Are we being ethical? We're not being sleazy, right? And then oh no, courage. Courage. It's a lot to put yourself out there. I get it, some people, right? It's like cold calling, door knocking, really putting yourself out there. I don't believe in faking it till you make it. I believe that the competence equals confidence, right? So to really put yourself out there and have that courage, it takes a lot, and you can't have one of the four, you need all four. So that is my sentiment today, and thank you for allowing me to share.
You know what? That's why I love putting you guys on the spot and having you bring us out on the field because that's what was real to her. It was so organic. That's what she's feeling. That's where she's at mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And how many of you resonated with that opening statement from Evangeline? Throw your hand up, give an emoji on the screen. I thought that was really, really powerful. And it's not about getting ready. She stays ready. She is in this moment. So Evangeline, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing everything that you're going through. You have your community. You have me as a coach. You have me as a friend and as a homie if you ever need anything. So you guys, really excited to see all your faces. If you can, before I officially get rolling and pass the mic to our guests, if you can, put the city or the state or where you're representing from down in the chat below, because I got people from the East Coast, in between, Arizona, San Diego, Bay Area, and everywhere in between. So hook it up, you guys. Let's light up the chat down below. I want to see where you guys are tapping in from. Wonderful. Also, be on the lookout for some of these names. Some of these names might be a referral partner that you need in a certain part of California or a certain part of the world. So you guys, I'm really, really excited about today. And I just got to spend a couple days with this amazing human being in San Diego for a Fast Forward Movement event. And Fast Forward Movement is a collective of over 7,000 agents from coast to coast that come together with one intention: help other people grow. It is a coaching platform without us having to swipe a credit card. And by being a part of that environment, you get to meet all these people, and it's far past just business strategies. Now, at the end of the day, we're going to give you tactics on how to build your business. We share, open our playbooks, SOPs, so on and so forth. But there's just been this community that has been built of brotherhood, sisterhood, bonds, partnerships. It's a really, really powerful group to be a part of. Plus, that specific group, Fast Forward Movement, last year did over 129,000 transactions as a group and represents over a third of all of EXP's production as a company. So there was a lot of amazing producers in that environment. And a person that stands out and has always stood out to me is Brian Danney. And the reason why is because Brian leads with his heart. He's always open to share, to give value to the community, but he's also a top producer that has stayed humble. And what I love about him is that you would think that doing over $650 million in solo production, that maybe I don't need a script role play anymore. Maybe I don't need to practice on my dialogue. Well, he does, and he still does. And it's part of his routine. It's part of his flow. And not only is he a top producer, he's done over $30 million of production this year. He's also a father. He's also a sales leader like myself, but he's still doing very, very high numbers. So he's in the trenches. He understands our business at a very conscious level. And so I'm excited for him to come in today to share with you some thoughts around building urgency in a non-urgent market. When you have inventory levels higher than they've been since pre-pandemic, what happens is that obviously you have more buyers in the market. And when you have buyers in the market at an elevated rate, that means that they have more time to shop, more time to look, more time to date before they actually commit. So what are we doing to help build urgency in a non-urgent market? Because what we understand is that this market will not be this way 6 months from now. And so, Brian, I'm really excited to have you here. What we're going to do is Brian's going to deliver what he delivers, and then we'll leave some room for some Q&A. So if you do have some questions, and I'm going to encourage you guys to write the questions down. Then I'm going to give an opportunity to go around the room, get some takeaways, and have some time for Q&A. So without further ado, my friends, let's introduce Brian Danney, hailing from San Diego, California, to Keep It Moving Group Coaching. Big dog, the mic is yours. Let's roll.
Oh, I appreciate it. If you can give me access to share the screen, I got a slide deck I want to put up there. First of all, is it Evangeline? Is that correct? Evangeline. You rocked it. Holy moly. I loved that kickoff to send us through the tunnel. So thank you for that so much. Elias, dear friend, appreciate you. Also just the king of contribution right here. And the way you carry yourself and the way you inspire people, it hits me, even though I'm in San Diego and this is your original home, but you're a little further from me. I still feel it. So thank you for all you do, man. And I'm excited to be here with Keep It Moving. So I'm going to pour into you just like I learned from that man right there. And that's what it's about. So I'm going to share my screen. We'll get this thing going. And a little bit about me. I have been in the business through many cycles. I've been through it all. And you guys see the screen okay? Cool. Awesome. And you know, we're in another one right now. We're in a different one. We're in a different market, but doesn't mean deals can't be done. So here's my request. As I go through everything with you, I want us to get loud. I'm going to ask for engagement. I'm going to ask for you guys to chime in and get loud in the chat. And please do not hold back on questions at the end of this one. There is nothing off limits. If you want to even find out what I had for breakfast this morning, ask. I don't care. I want you to ask whatever you want. I want you to get the most out of this. So,
well, can we put that to the test really quick?
Yeah.
Not just right. Can everyone take themselves off of mute really quick and just get loud for our brand right now? Go ahead and take yourself off of mute, everybody.
Yes. There it is. What? Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Okay. We're going to get going. So, few things. One is everything I'm going to go through with you. Some of it you might have heard before. Out of curiosity, in the chat, who has been in the business for under 5 years? Who's had their license for under 5 years? I'd love to see that. Okay, awesome. So some of this might be new. How many of us have been in the business for 5 or more? Write more in the chat. Awesome. Doesn't matter if it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. This is the stuff that works. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how I'm helping others, helping myself sell, how I'm helping people overcome and stop getting in their own way. And out of curiosity, right now in this marketplace, how many buyers do you have right now that are seeing 3 homes, 4 homes, 5 homes, 6 homes before they want to make an offer on that single home? They want to see the home multiple times. How many of us are running into buyers that are waiting 2 to 3 weeks to respond to a counter offer? This is like weird times right now, right? How about a seller that says, I got an offer, thank you, but I think the market can do better, so I'm going to wait another couple weeks for another offer? Are we seeing that? So urgency is a thing that nobody is understanding. And here's where I'll start us off is we can't find it, okay? It has to be created. And where is it created? It's from us. It's by the things we're saying. It's how we're future pacing. It's how we're getting the conversation. It's how we're really listening and meeting somebody where they're at. Because right now, we're trying to find it when we're creating barriers with us and whoever it is that we're speaking to. And we need to do a really good job of lowering those barriers and really just have a humanized conversation with people and allow them to understand we're there to help them. We're not there with sales breath. And something that I'm a big advocate of is building relationships, period. And if you do that and you do it well enough, you can create urgency, and you can do it for the better good of what's best for them and their family. So I'm going to ask you, think about when we meet opportunities, buyers and sellers, any opportunity. There is typically 3 stages that a buyer or seller go through. Okay? 3 stages. And I want you to envision thinking about your buyer or your seller that you just met. I want you to think about, when did I meet them? Was it an open house? Was it because they raised their hand because they were interested about a home online? Were they introduced to me from someone that referred me to them? When did I meet them? Okay? And I'm encouraging you to write these 3 stages down because we have to really understand the stages that they go through. The first one is awareness. Someone that comes into an open house is aware that they want to consider a move. They want to, possibly, it's a neighbor that might be considering an upgrade. They want to look at what the neighbor did a year ago so they get an idea of what they want to upgrade in their house. They're aware of the fact that they want to size up and figure out what they're worth compared to the one that's on the market. They're aware of something. And then they move into consideration. And consideration is when they're making, they're actually considering to make a decision, which is the 3rd stage, decision, but they're considering it. They're considering going to market. They're considering buying the house. They're considering working with an agent. They're considering something. And like I said, the 3rd stage is decision. It's when they make their decision on what they're gonna do, whether they're gonna work with you, whether they're gonna write an offer, whether they are going to remodel their house, list. So in the chat right now, looking at 3 stages, what stage do you think you meet a buyer or seller in? What stage? Awareness, consideration, I see that. Number 2, awareness or consideration. Yeah, it's consideration. You meet people when they're already in a place. They're already in a conscious place of being aware of something they want to change, something that they're thinking of. You're not forcing them to think a certain way. The reason why they're in your world is because they're considering it. So look at this road I have, this windy road I have on the screen. I love having this visual, and I'm encouraging you. Think about this road when you're role playing. Think about this road when you're talking to buyers or sellers. This is not your road. It's their road. It's windy and twists. And your job is to stay on their road. That's your job, their road. not your road. Your road is the detour with the gravel to the right and to the left of that road. That's called agenda. Our job is to stay on their road. And the one thing you need to understand is when we're on the road, well, first we need to be invited, right? Because they're considering whether they want to speak to you or continue the conversation or share information with you. And once they make that decision to do it, you go through these little stages. They're deciding to invite you. And then when you're invited to the road, then you got to go through the same thing all over again. You got to figure out what they're considering. And this is where we need to live. We need to really recognize what stage we meet people at. And that's the first step. The second step is we have to earn the right to have the conversation with people. So I'm going to walk you through a philosophy that I live by that has helped me tremendously in winning relationships. And the first step is I need to understand who I'm speaking to. Who are they? Do they have a family? Are they a first-time home buyer? Are they a renter? Anything about them. I need to understand. Are they relocating? And when I understand who they are, at that point, I can then figure out what they're considering. That's the second one. So it's they and what they're considering. What hurdles are they running into? And they're running into a hurdle because they raised their hand to go get more information about that house. They can't get into that house or get information. That's why they signed up on a website. People walk into a home to gather information at an open house. They're considering. You've got to figure out what they're considering. And the key to any solid conversation, in my opinion, is spending 70 to 75% of that conversation in this space. Understanding who they are and what they're considering. Truly, stay curious. Don't interrogate. Stay curious. And when you understand what they're considering, then you can bring some value to the table. But too often we're just shouting and vomiting value too early, and that just reeks of agenda. And we don't even know how to customize it. And we're also wondering why people don't show up to appointments that we book. We don't understand why they said yes, and then they no show us. It's because we didn't really diagnose what they said that they are considering. We didn't diagnose it. We didn't know where to bring the value. And most of us we try different values. Like we get in a conversation and we throw one at the wall and we see if it sticks, it doesn't. Okay, they don't want off markets. What do they want? They want some negotiated deal for them. So then we'll throw negotiating a deal at them. And there is something super seamless and serendipitous when we can really diagnose what somebody wants. You throw one value at them and they're like, yeah, that's it. You speak my language. And that's why this only takes about 5 to 10% of your conversation, this value, because you've already diagnosed it with understanding who they are and what they're considering. So the value you're bringing, really be conscious. Not everybody wants the off markets. Not everybody wants the deal. Not everybody. Some just want to be in a school district. Some are just trying to get to their next home in another state. And the thing that we need to also do is show them how others have seen those results. How have we want to show them. We don't want to just tell them. We want to show them the results. We want to show them. So you got to have stories in your pocket. And you know what the beautiful thing about this keep it moving environment and this community that you guys are in? You guys can share your stories together. Team, no team, solo, it doesn't matter. You have a community here. Share your wins. David's story is Gary's story, etc. Like you guys all have these stories that you can share. You got to spend time. That's also why role play is so important. It's a perfect time to explore that stuff. Now, the rules of living in, and I'm encouraging you guys to write this down. Consideration, value, results. Those 4 things are my guide in the conversation. And I'll openly tell you, LP Mama, and I love that stuff. But where people get lost is they feel like they need to move down a list from location to price to a point. They feel like they have an order they have to go in it, and that is where we go wrong. We need to go wherever the person's leading us, right? Like, we need to go deep. We need to go deep in conversation. So one thing we can't do is we can't create friction. We have to avoid it at all costs. Example of that. I'm already working with a lender. That's awesome. You should meet my lender. Whoa, 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 whoa. They already have a relationship with somebody. That lender might be influencing them in their decisions. What's preventing you from not creating friction, but saying, you know what? Where's your lender? I'm always looking to build relationships with other lenders. Where's your lender? Oh, he's with Chase. You know what? I've been dying to get a hold of somebody from Chase. Can you please introduce me to your lender? And then you're now someone that wants to meet their lender who's influencing their decisions. Or, you know, my uncle, where you been getting your information regarding what's happening to my uncle? He's in real estate. He is in another state. Your uncle's not in San Diego. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Or, that's amazing. You're so lucky you have a resource, an uncle that's going to share information with you. You know, if he ever wants to be in a conversation at any of our standing meetings and go over what's happening here, I'd love to connect with him. That you're so lucky you have that. Don't create friction. And you got to find in discovery, in the consideration, where you can add the value, what you can bring them, the value piece, whether it be another opportunity, whether it be your company information, whether it be a vendor list, whether it be if you walk away from every conversation with one little thing you can offer somebody, you're going to win. And it could be the smallest little thing ever. It could be the smallest little thing. It could be sending somebody a boundary map of what schools are allocated to a certain area. It could be the simplest thing. But if you can detect what that is, holy moly, you're going to win, and you can create urgency because they're going to trust you. You're the resource. It's about the relationship. You have to write this one down. Assumption kills. We cannot leave a conversation with living in assumption. Confirm it. They said that they're relocating and they're here going to be stationed in Miramar, which is a military base here. Am I going to like assume that they're in military, that they're possibly going to have a V loan, or am I going to ask them and confirm it? They said they want to have a bedroom for their children, and they have 2. Do I want to assume that they now want a 3-bedroom, or am I going to say, do you want a 2-bedroom? Confirm your assumptions. This is where we get lost. We need to confirm things. And living in an assumptive space is just such a dangerous place to live. And it hurts you because you can label somebody. Thank you so much for your service. They're military. Or they're a family person. There's just so much there that is just, we just let go. Assumption kills. Now, there are techniques. There's techniques that I'm telling you, you might have heard some of these before, but these are the things that are just working. They're fire. I'm telling you, they're timeless. I didn't create them. I use them because they work, and they still work today, and they always will work. These are timeless techniques that work. Now, I've had my little twist of it after I mastered 100%, but these techniques I'm encouraging you to really embrace because they will make a difference for you. And it's asking questions. Asking questions that matter to them. Go deep. Here's the rule. The rule is going a minimum of 3 questions on something you learn. It's not asking a question. They say that they want a yard, and you say, okay, great. What price are you willing to, what's your buying power? That's not what this is. This is, are yards important to you? Tell me a little bit more about that. How big of a yard are you looking for? What are you looking to do in your yard? You're going to uncover that they like to entertain, that they want hardscape, they want low maintenance, they have a dog. We want to have room for the kids. Okay, kids, that leads us to bedroom count. The conversation just continues. It's endless. You can literally make this entire conversation serendipitous if you really ask deep enough questions, because it's going to lead you other places that they're leading you, not you. LP Mama will be completely filled out if you just live in the moment and ask the questions from the information that they're providing you. Go deep. Go deep. This is what we need to practice in role play right here. You spend time figuring out how I can be the best person to ask questions, that I'm really living in the moment. I have no agenda. Because we always, if you go back to that road here, which I will go back, if you go back to this road, this windy road, we're on it, and then we detour because we feel like we need to ask something that's unrelated to the information that they shared. And that's where we get in trouble. That's where guards are built. That's where urgency cannot be created because they don't trust you. Really important. These little things, they all make a massive difference. So asking good questions. Has anyone here in the chat, I'm curious, has anyone heard of keyword backtrack? Has anyone heard of keyword backtrack? This is one of the most powerful things you can do. Yes, exactly. You match the speech and the words that they're using. So say Kelly, I'm talking to Kelly, and she's saying, you know, I really want a house that makes sense. If I respond with, okay, we'll get you a really good property, you've lost it. Literally, I'm mirroring the word house. I really want good storage. And I'm saying, okay, so you want a lot of closets in your home? No, it's storage. If we aren't borrowing the language that the other person is using, we are not creating the wavelength we need to build a relationship with them. Okay. Everyone, if there's kids, try to put your earmuffs on. I'm gonna give you an example. Okay, I'm actually not gonna use that language here, but I was in a conversation.
It's okay.
It's okay? Okay. All right, this is no joke. This is the truth, and I will try to find the recording of it so I can share with you. But in a conversation with somebody the other day, and they go, you know what? I just really want a fucking house. That's what they said to me. You know what I did? I said, let's get you a fucking house. I've never cursed back at somebody, but that's what they wanted. They kept doing it over and over again. I borrowed that language, I used it, and like, he's now under contract for a fucking house. Like, that's the truth. I'm not saying that's like the moment, but I'm saying it helped build more moments, right? Here's a hack too. Keyword backtrack works with the agents you're writing offers on. The biggest hack that I can do when I'm writing an offer, and I have a lot more of them, but one of them is I will listen to the words the agent is giving me, the selling agent gives me. And we underutilize our subject line all the time. I literally put in the words they give me in my subject line to stand out, to say, I am your agent you need to work with. Like when they say, my clients just want to get to Florida. They offer that will just get your clients to Florida. Like, I literally borrow it. I'm encouraging you to listen. If we become better listeners, we can ask better questions. We can underline the things that really matter. It helps. Really, really helps. Who's heard of Feel, Felt, Found before? Timeless. Timeless. For those of you who don't, I understand how you feel. Others have felt the same exact way. Here's what they found. Now, John Maxwell added a new one recently, which is follow, which is tell them what they need to follow next. Give them a next step, right? Someone that says, Brian, I'm just not ready to meet yet. Have you guys heard that? I'm just really not ready to meet yet. We're waiting for rates to drop. You know what? I understand how you feel. And others have felt the same exact way. Like, why meet now when you aren't ready to purchase and you're just waiting for rates to drop? Here's what they found. Understanding what data they need to look at to determine when the right time is for them to figure out when the rates might come down has given them a lot of information to get their ducks in a row. So here's what happens next. let's figure out what you're currently looking at, and let me show you some other sites where you can track that information. Would 2 o'clock on Friday work for us to get together so I can show you what that is? Field file found can be used as a close. Now, the one thing about field file found is if it's used too early, you can't use it again. So we have to use it wisely. That's why asking good questions and getting all the information and covering exactly what somebody is considering is so important, because when you give them a field file found, it's going to hit them on a next level. It will really speak to them. And sometimes if we use it and it's not something that they're looking for in value, it can go in another direction. So field file found towards the end of the call when you're delivering value. This is like gearing you up for a close. Still works to this day. Been using it for 10 years. Future pacing. Very underrated thing here. There's so many different ways that we can future pace. And we need to find moments in conversations. We need to find ways of getting commitment, keeping people accountable. I'm going to show you all that in a moment. So the first thing I want to tell you is when I meet with a buyer, I want to clearly understand the 5 things that they need to have in a home in order for them to move forward with writing an offer. How many of us show homes and the buyer says, no, this is not what I want anymore. I want this. And what are we doing to keep them accountable? So I send them this email here. I send them an email. I list the things that they just told me they want me to go out and hunt for them. And you'll see this thing line in the bottom. When we find the dream home, you'll be ready to discuss writing a winning offer. I ask them to reply back to this email and buy into it, because I want to keep them accountable. I want to do whatever I possibly can to find them those deals, those opportunities. When we were fast forward moving, Leo had a fire talk, and he talked about there's different types of transactions that are happening right now. He said there's deals and there's diamonds. So if you can understand what a buyer is looking for, rather than this being a top 5 must-have, and I've taken that and I've applied this. All right, they want a deal. Here are the 5 things you said you want for a deal. Here are the 5 things you said you want for a diamond. Like, here's what's happening. There's no in between. It's one or the other. But if you go show a home to a buyer and they say, you know what, Brian, I love it. You know, it features all these things that they wanted. I'm in the house. It's 1 story. It's, you know, it's whatever it is. It's an open floor plan. It's 4 bedrooms. I'm going through it. I'm highlighting. Here's the thing you said you want. Here's the thing you said you want. Awesome. Let's write an offer, because I'm keeping them accountable to what they just told me. They say, Brian, you know what? We like the house, but we're just not going to write. Great. That's part of discovery. I love this. Okay, good. I'm happy we're doing our due diligence. Elias, what would need to change from the list that we had previously? What needs to come off? What needs to come on? Well, now we want a 2-car garage and no longer want an open floor plan. Great. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to resend you our deal must-have list. I'm going to send you an email. Just reply back saying, yes, this is what we want. I'm constantly getting them to micro commit to exactly what they want. So when I get to the home, they're performing. I'm performing, they're performing. It's a 2-way street. If people change it 3 or 4 times, it's okay. People start changing it 5 or 10 times, the list 5 or 10, might be a nurture, but it's okay. I don't crumble them up and throw them in the trash. I'm just going to nurture them differently. Now, why can't I have that for a seller? Sellers need to have must-haves too. I send the same thing to a seller. They want to sell in 30, 45 days. They don't want to have repairs. Okay, great. Well, I have a strategy to help them avoid that as much as possible. I can't promise everything. I'm going to do everything to put them in a position to do this, right? Yeah, I can do it. I can run the process to make sure that I'm qualifying them to get you a strong buyer. Yeah, I could. Have my lender speak to them. We could avoid a contingent offer. Whatever it is, like these are some things here. I want to give you an example, but we need to keep people accountable. We need to get them, we need to future pace what will happen and what they're going to do. Please reply to confirm this aligns with your goals. Now, the biggest thing we don't do is we don't have a next step with people. Think about your pipelines. think about who here works with sellers in the chat. Who here works with sellers? How often do you speak to them? Is there a standing meeting you have? Do they know a Tuesday at 1 o'clock that's their time to speak with you? Because here's what's happening in the marketplace right now. We're having the hard conversations too late. Home has been on the market 30 days. We don't have a standing meeting with the seller. And then we want to hit them up on day 14 to reduce price when they didn't hear from you for 2 or 3 weeks before that. It just doesn't work. So this is a form I give them. I outline it. I have a standing meeting with people. They know when they're going to hear from me, and I can inch closer. I can future pace what's happening. I can share feedback with them versus just tell him I did everything and we need to reduce. It makes the reduction conversation, the adjustment conversation much, much easier because of standing meetings. And then I'm creating urgency through all of this. Borrow this one. Every end of every call you have, you book an appointment. If you like what you hear and everything makes sense, would there be any reason why you wouldn't be able to work with one another? You book an appointment, you say that. You get them to commit to you. Because when you're in your consultation or strategy session, you talk to them and they're like, did you like what you hear? Did everything make sense to you? Great. Here's what happens next. In fact, I use this one when I start the strategy meeting or the driveway consultation or anything that I have. If you like what you hear today, I repeat this one 3 or 4 times. Now, taking the same formula of this one, there's no reason why we couldn't also regurgitate when we show homes. If you like what you see and it makes sense and it hits everything you just told me you need in a deal, would there be any reason why I won't write a competitive offer today? This could be repurposed in so many different ways. If you like what you hear and everything makes sense out of the inspection, would there be any reason why you wouldn't want to move forward? This thing is fire, I'm telling you. People commit to it. Who here has heard of the promise? So the old school promise is I heard that you're looking for good communication. This is at the end of a strategy session, okay? You're wrapping up. I heard you're looking for good communication. You want an agent that's going to really hunt and get you everything you said you wanted. And you just want transparency. Like you want to know what's happening. That's my promise to you. I'm going to deliver everything you just told me you wanted in an agent and everything you wanted in an experience. Can you promise me one thing back in return? You can think of anybody that's also looking to have that same experience. Could you please introduce me to them? So I use this to get referrals. Okay. And I do that consistently in my as a talk track in my strategy meetings. However, given the market we're in now, I've put a twist on the promise track that is just working. It's lowering people's guards. Someone says they want a specific, they have specific criteria. That's what they're looking for. They want to make sure they're only looking at homes that have that are within a certain school district. And your conversation could be very simple. It could be, Nicole, I hear you. Like, I know exactly what you want. You want a home that fits in specific school district. You know what? I have a great idea. Here's my promise to you. I'm going to go and I'm going to create a map, and I'm going to create a boundary map of all the different streets that fit within that school district you're looking to get into. That's my promise. Can you promise me one thing back in return? If I send you that map, if I put you down on the calendar for Tuesday at like 1 o'clock, would you pick up the phone when I call you just so I can get some more feedback on what I'm sending you? You promise something, you ask one back. The smallest little things, little inches along the way, the small promises will just allow you to win ultimately. So yes, I still do it in the strategy session, but I'm finding little wins. and asking them for a very small promise back in return that they're ultimately going to get used to and say yes to. Ending conversations. How we end is, we talk about first impressions, right? First impressions matter. Well, how we end is also a lasting impression. And we never really talk about that. And lasting impressions, we need to show them how we're going to be a professional. We need a next step. Okay, if you're going to do one thing that I'm walking you through, a next step after every freaking phone call you have, after every conversation, is the gold. Look at your pipelines. Some of you might have smart lists. Look at all that stuff. If you do not have a scheduled next step with your hot leads and your nurture leads, you're gonna be a wind-up doll. You're not gonna know. They're not gonna know when they're gonna hear from you. What does that look like for a new lead? It's just you book your next step. You find a piece of value. You book. You recap what happened. You ask questions. What are you looking for in an agent? The first conversation. What do you? If you like what you hear at the beginning, why we can work with one another, and you tell them what happens next, and you book that next step. They're not buying till January 10th, 2026. Why aren't we booking a next step with them? Why aren't we just saying, you know what, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to run the recap, ask the questions. I'm telling, listen, it doesn't matter if you're buying today, tomorrow, or freaking 2 years from now. I'm your resource. I got you. You're your priority. I'm going to put you in the calendar for October 10th. October 10th at 1 o'clock. That's what we're going to hear from you next. Does that work for you? There's no rule. We need next steps. Okay, so what if they don't pick up? You leave a voicemail. And it's easy as, David, it's Brian. I'm calling you just like I said I would. It's, it's Friday at 1 o'clock. Sorry I missed you, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you back in my calendar next Friday at 1 o'clock again. You're going to hear from me then. If that happens 3 times, you'd be surprised how many apologies I get from people when they miss me. They apologize to me. But all I want to do is I want to label myself. I want to label myself as someone that's trustworthy, that follows through. And when they're ready, they're ready. But if I just continue to show up, honestly, here's the truth. The easiest transactions, the easiest deals that I do are the people I have next steps with. Because I've earned their trust. It's that simple. Like they're not creating friction with me. They're listening to what I'm saying because I've been there from every step of their journey. I've met them where they're at. That's what brings it full circle. So label yourself. We label them, label yourself. You can control this one. The next step matters. Be the person that follows through. It all ends here. Like doctors can go in and deliver the worst news to people all the time, and yet we don't have the hard conversations when someone's looking for something that's unrealistic. When someone's thinks their house is worth $500,000 more than what it is. First of all, it's not you, it's the market, but you need to make sure that they understand that. You need to articulate that. You need to have the hard conversations. Don't dodge it. They will respect you in the conversation that you're having a lot more than one that avoids it. And the truth is, when I'm talking to someone and they share with me, first time I've ever spoke to them, and they've shared something terrible with me, their husband passed away. Am I the agent that's going to actually console them and talk about it with them? Or do I feel too uncomfortable to have that hard conversation? Because I know that that would be a lot more memorable if I did, if I hadn't, because I'll be all like just all the other agents that don't go there. And that's the stuff that matters right there. So guys, I want to leave some time for Q&A, but I appreciate you. Hopefully you got something out of this. Always here to support you. Always here to contribute. This is the stuff that's truly working. No joke. You run any of this. Here's my biggest superpower. The reason I don't have amazing skills and I'm consistent and I implement. And that's my superpower. And that's always worked for 10, 15 years now. So find something you can implement. Find something you can stay consistent with. And then you're going to you'll move a lot faster. You'll be going 100 miles an hour.
Man, Brian, this was absolutely powerful, and there's obviously some parallels. We speak the same language just in a different tone, and I feel that there's so many things that are fundamentals in this business that we stay away from. And I have some notes, and I want to open it up for some Q&A, some insights, and some thought tracks. Reeks of agenda. You see, when Brian and I were in San Diego last week, we heard from our CEO of our company, Leo Pareja, and he said, obsess about the human experience. You see, when your presentation reeks of agenda, what that means is that you're not thinking about them and you're thinking about yourself. And I'll tell you what, people see that shit. They feel that, right? When your agenda is the most important, people feel that. You know how they feel that is based on the questions that you ask them. When you're asking questions, okay, what's important to you? Wonderful, backyard. Okay, cool, check mark. When security, okay, cool, let me write that on my notes. Security. Well, hold on a second. We need to be able to be in the habit of saying, I want to make sure that I understand when you say security, what does that mean to you? When you say backyard, what does that mean? When you say you need room for a close, tell me a little bit more, elaborate. I want to know more. Let's go a little bit deeper, right? Allow the consumer to tell you exactly what the root of it is. But what we stop doing, or what we need to stop doing, is we need to stop thinking. You see, oftentimes when a consumer is sharing with you and you're asking them questions, what are you doing? You're thinking of your next line. You're thinking of, well, how can I respond to this? Instead of being present in the moment and saying, elaborate, tell me a little bit more. What does that mean to you? When you say this, what does that mean? Like, we got to be more present. But what we're consciously doing is we're thinking. And so when we're thinking, we're not steady in that moment. We need to spend more time in this moment. And I love what you said about really recapping. I call it discovery, confirmation, and a logical conclusion. I want to make sure that I heard you correctly and I didn't miss anything. You said that this is important. We need to get you a fucking house. You need room for the shoes. You need to, have I missed anything? Wonderful. There's a book out there that I want everyone to buy. It is called Just Listen. This book is all about the power of active listening, being able to just shush, listen, receive what the consumer is saying, and then answer accordingly versus your own thoughts of how do I respond quickly to this? No, that's why people will think that you come across salesy. A good salesperson knows how to listen and process and respond accordingly. So, man, so many great nuggets from today, Brian. Love what you've shared. Let's do this, you guys. We got room for about 3 to 5 contributions, takeaways, thoughts, and insights. So let's get your hands up and get in the queue. We'll go Jessica and anybody else that has thoughts, contributions, and takeaways from our session. Let's roll, Jessica.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Brian. This session was truly helpful. I think I have a lot of takeaways, but one of the biggest takeaways was the promise for a promise that I will be using when I'm speaking to buyers, just to make sure, that I'm also locking them in and letting them know, hey, I'm going to be here for you. But I would also want you to, I don't know, give me a promise if you have any referrals. So I really like that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. The one thing, Jessica, I encourage you to start small. And when you
Mm-hmm.
start small with the promise you're asking them to commit to, it's just going to ease into a bigger things later. So like, that's why I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
can you just pick up the phone call when I call you at 1 o'clock? It's like that simple.
Yeah.
The easiest thing to say yes to. You just get them in that habit. But yeah, that's awesome. And it does work
Thank
naturally.
you.
It does. So
Brian, I absolutely love that. And like, hey, can I get a promise from you that if I send you a property and I send you a text message, just give me your feedback that you'll respond to those text messages? Wonderful.
exactly.
And I'll make sure I do the same thing for you. Looking forward to working with you. It's small little micro commitments. This is old school sales tactics that work to build proximity and business intimacy. So the really good stuff. Let's go to
They
Vernon.
never say no. They never say no to that ever. I've never received a no.
Yeah. And so what are they subconsciously doing? Psychology is that they're in the motion of saying yes to you, right?
Yeah.
They're saying yes to you. So they're following you as the leader throughout this transaction. And so really powerful stuff. Vernon, you typed in the chat down below this flow that we talk about consistently here in this environment. So Vernon, what are your thoughts and takeaways, Big Dog? Let's hear from you.
Yeah, man. I love it. Brian, pleasure to meet you virtually, my friend. Elias,
Yes.
thank you for bringing him into the space. It, it's good to hear Uncle Brian come into the space and kind of reiterate some of the things that we talk about in this environment around emotional intelligence in sales and the importance of that. Right, Brian? That's essentially what your entire presentation was about. Like, yo, lead with the emotional intelligence aspect from a human lens in the transaction. Ask the questions that matter to them, right? And then actively listen to be present and organically respond based upon the context that's being exchanged. That's leading in, that's emotional intelligence at its finest in sales. And, you know, like you said, B, that shit works. And so thank you for coming into the space and kind of reiterating that and, you know, putting a different twist on it with some visuals is dope. But I hope everyone heard the sentiment. It's emotional intelligence in sales is what produces results. So thank you for that, B. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. A nice little hack that I've used in the past is to go back and to train myself, right? It's like training wheels and take the wheels off and go. I would go back and listen to my calls and I'd like find my moments. And we got to spend more time just in whether you're doing your own space, whatever it is, listening with somebody else, listen to your calls and figure out, are you staying on the road or you're not? Like envision the road. Truly. It's like the easiest thing to envision. Am I on their road? Yeah. And that's emotional intelligence.
Man, I really appreciate that because just like the LP Mama or whatever other formula, Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dream, it shouldn't be a interrogation, right? It shouldn't be like let's go where they are. You want to spend more time there? Cool. Let's spend some more time there and you meet them exactly where they are. So Brian, really good stuff. Let's go, Aaron, and then Sarah, you'll be our last contribution, and then we'll wrap sesh. You're muted, big dog.
This was incredible. Thanks for sharing, because it is a lot of the stuff we hear in the space, but I love the twist and the caveats to it. I mean, for me, one of the biggest takeaways was the 3 minimum questions. Like, I ask questions, but I'm not like, I don't have a standard operating procedure for how many questions I ask. I'll just ask one. And so sometimes it's like, oh, I want a big yard. I'm like, what for? Oh, RV. Okay, cool. And I just keep it pushing, right? But to be intentional about having 3 questions and keeping the conversation going, I think allows me to be, again, more present. And like Elias was saying, I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I'm already thinking, okay, I'm trying to be a step ahead of them, opposed to just being where they're at in that moment. And so asking and being intentional about the 3 questions. And like Jessica was saying, that promise for a promise, and especially the nuance of just asking them to call you back, or little promises, which most everybody's always going to say yes to. I immediately kind of felt how that subconsciously creates a situation where working through the process makes it so that you have them on the same page. Because that's another thing I sometimes struggle with is keeping them on track and keeping them, you know, engaged in a certain way. And that seems like a perfect tool. And then one of the other things that that I'm also guilty of, that I like that you drove home, is those hard facts. If somebody says that a family member died, I personally kind of get emotional about that stuff. So I will, like, okay, I don't want to like get into a conversation where I'm being emotional in front of some stranger, but having that hard question with somebody might be, or, you know, having that hard conversation with somebody might be something that pulls you closer to them. But I do sometimes when somebody says something really hard, I take a step back. And so having that hard conversation, or being open to conversations like that is key. So everything you said was great. And what I really love is that it just kind of was affirmation of what we do here all the time. So it was just a different Southern California vibe to it, I guess. But I enjoyed it. I appreciate you, Uncle Brian.
I love it. I love it. So, something I was going to mention, the RV piece. Like, yeah, like learning about the RV. But imagine if you were able to, like, you're going through your own virtual tour of the house. Okay, so the RV, like, where do you envision parking your RV? Is it on the side of the house? Is there a gate? Is there, oh, that leads you to the backyard? Then you go to the backyard conversation. Then you go in through the backyard into the house and the family. Like, that's truly where you can lead them based on the questions you're asking. It's a virtual tour. That's what it is.
Yeah. And I love it. And like, you know, when did you guys get into RV and why is this so important to you? Tell me about your last memory. Where'd you guys go? Was it Monterey? Was it Pismo? Like, so many things. So love it. I'm going to go rapid fire, Sarah, 30 seconds or less, just one takeaway, because I want to keep everybody on track.
Learning about the backtrack, echoing key phrases, that was very important to me. I think it will create a strong connection between me and the client. Once I'm borrowing their own words to speak to them, it will make them feel more understood.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the connection and being understood is super important for your growth. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Wonderful. Listen, you guys, discovery, confirmation, and then logical conclusion, next steps. You guys, Really, really loved your guys' participation today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being students, open to receive. Brian, I'm sending you love, light, positive energy. As my brother in this space, we speak the same language, and that's why I wanted you here, because this group is so important, and I don't invite just everybody. I got people knocking on my door all day long telling me I'll come in here and do a lunch and learn. No, boo-boo, not for everyone. This is a very, very special group, and thank you for delivering at a high level. So you guys, thank you for being here. I have a standing 9:30, but I just want to say thank you and be on the lookout. We're dropping intensity today. So if you are wanting to take your life, business, health, and relationships to the next level, intensity is dropping today. We actually changed the date because of school and everything. It's going to be August 26th of this month. So if you're ready to ignite that fire, take shit to the next level, look for the reel on my social media today. It's going to be posted, and then sign up a link and everything will be prepared and ready for you guys to roll. So listen, thank you for being here. And as always, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and make today a day that truly matters. Peace.
Peace.